Hi there. Let's be honest right from the start. If you judge trucks only by engine size and horsepower, the Peugeot DK5 looks like it showed up to the wrong party. Introduced in 1936, it arrived with a small engine, modest power, and no intention of impressing anyone at first glance. And yet, this exact truck ended up carrying real military responsibility, working through war, occupation, and reconstruction. The DK5 proves that numbers on paper do not always tell the full story. In mid-1930s France, the automotive industry faced a very specific challenge. Roads were narrow, budgets were tight, fuel was expensive, and the military needed vehicles that could be absorbed quickly into service without redesign. Peugeot did not try to compete with large American trucks or heavy German machines. Instead, they focused on efficiency, simplicity, and adaptability. The DK5 was built around the idea that a small, well-engineered truck could do serious work if used intelligently. Visually, the Peugeot DK5 looks almost polite. Rounded fenders, flowing lines, a narrow cab, and proportions closer to a large passenger car than a heavy truck. This was intentional. The DK5 was designed to operate in towns, villages, and rural areas where larger trucks struggled. It could slip through tight streets, farm roads, and improvised supply routes without drawing attention to itself. Under the bonnet sat a four-cylinder petrol engine with a displacement of 142 cubic centimeters. Power output was 45 horsepower. On paper, that sounds underwhelming, especially compared to larger competitors of the era. But this engine delivered its power smoothly and reliably. Torque figures are rarely officially published for this model, but based on comparable Peugeot engines of the period, output was approximately 120 Newton meters of torque, about 88 pound-feet. That was enough to keep the truck moving steadily under load without stressing the drivetrain. Power was sent to the rear wheels through a manual gearbox with 4 forward gears. The gearing favored control over speed. The DK5 was never in a hurry, and it did not pretend otherwise. Typical top speed was around 55 to 60 kilometers per hour, approximately 34 to 37 miles per hour, depending on load and road conditions. In pre-war France, this was perfectly acceptable. Payload capacity was one of the DK5's quiet strengths. Depending on body configuration, it could carry around 2,000 kilograms, about 4,410 pounds. This placed it firmly in the medium truck category, despite its relatively small engine. Peugeot compensated for limited power with careful gearing, a strong ladder frame chassis, and conservative engineering margins. Dimensionally, the DK5 stayed compact. Overall length was roughly 5.4 meters, approximately 17.7 feet. Width was about 2.0 meters, approximately 6.6 feet, and height varied around 2.3 meters, approximately 7.5 feet, depending on body type. The wheelbase measured close to 3.5 meters, about 11.5 feet, providing stability while keeping the truck manageable in confined spaces. In civilian life, the DK5 became a familiar tool across France. It delivered goods between towns, hauled agricultural products, supported small workshops, and handled municipal duties. Owners appreciated that it was economical to run and mechanically simple. Maintenance could be performed locally without specialized equipment, which mattered greatly outside major cities. Driving the DK5 required patience and mechanical sympathy. Acceleration was slow. Overtaking required planning and optimism. Steering was heavy at low speeds, and braking distances reminded drivers to think ahead. But once moving, the truck felt balanced and predictable. It rewarded smooth driving rather than aggressive inputs. When Europe moved toward war, trucks like the DK5 suddenly became valuable assets. Many civilian vehicles were requisitioned by the French military, and the Peugeot DK5 entered service almost unchanged. Painted in military colors and fitted with canvas-covered cargo beds, it became a logistics vehicle rather than a frontline machine. It carried supplies, tools, ammunition, and personnel, often over secondary roads and improvised routes. Military use exposed both strengths and limitations. The DK5's modest engine struggled on steep gradients when fully loaded, and rear-wheel drive limited traction in deep mud. But its compact size allowed it to operate where heavier trucks could not. It could be hidden, dispersed, and repaired with basic tools. In logistics, availability often mattered more than power. Some military DK5s received basic protective modifications, such as reinforced cab panels or minimal armor around vulnerable areas. These changes were limited, but they improved crew safety against debris and shrapnel during air raids. The truck was never intended to be armored, and it was not used as a combat vehicle. After the fall of France in 1940, many DK5 trucks continued working under occupation. They were too useful to discard. They transported goods, supported local industries, and kept essential services running. Their ability to function with limited resources made them valuable in difficult circumstances. After the war, surviving DK5s returned to civilian service once again. France faced massive reconstruction, and any functioning truck was precious. Former military DK5s hauled building materials, tools, and supplies, contributing quietly to the rebuilding of towns and infrastructure. By then, the design was outdated, but reliability mattered more than modern features. From a modern perspective, the Peugeot DK5 feels slow and demanding. There is no assistance, no comfort, and no margin for careless driving. But that same simplicity is what allowed it to survive multiple roles across changing political realities. It was never about speed or power. It was about usefulness. The DK5's weaknesses are obvious: limited horsepower, modest torque, rear-wheel drive, and basic comfort. Its strengths are less dramatic but far more important: durability, adaptability, and efficiency. It did exactly what it promised, and nothing more. Today, surviving Peugeot DK5 trucks are rare and respected. They represent an era when engineering focused on making the most of limited resources. The DK5 stands as a reminder that even small engines can carry large responsibilities when paired with thoughtful design. If you enjoy stories like this, where modest machines quietly shoulder extraordinary tasks, make sure to subscribe. Many more overlooked workhorses are still waiting to be rediscovered.